Today is May the 9th, 2020, and I am on the module of authenticity. This is a really important module, I think, for anybody who's on an execution cycle. And just to give you a little bit of reminder of where we were, day one, we were focusing on defining success. What does it mean to really work towards something that we're striving to achieve? And that's what I'm always striving to do during these 10-day execution cycles. And on day one, I defined success as starting to build a marketing program so that would help bring awareness to the project that I am building, which is to teach and inspire people in prison. Day two on my execution cycle is to set very clearly defined goals. Day three is to move forward with 100% commitment, which is the right attitude. Day four is to have an aspiration of what I am going to achieve. What I want to achieve is a business that can teach and inspire tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people around the country who are living in struggle, help them understand what they need to do to be resilient and rebuild their lives. Day five is they've got to take action. Day six, they've got to hold themselves accountable. And day seven, which is where we are today, is all about authenticity, being authentic, demonstrating that you want to do something more than just talk about wanting to do something more. You really want to achieve. And so I've built these 17 slides that I'm going to use as a tool. And so this is kind of a preliminary a practice game of before I record this in front of a more highly produced camera with a green screen behind me and my screen, or rather with my slide deck on a bigger screen. So day one is first we have to identify these three concentric circles, I think, and that is we have to define really what it is we want to achieve. I've mentioned that many times before. You've got to start by defining success. But success comes if we have a strategy, if we have clearly defined tactics, and if we have metrics, ways to hold ourselves accountable. And so I've drawn these three circles there that, as you can see, they connect in different parts. But those three circles of strategy, tactics, and metrics have to have a little bit more development, right? The strategy, we need to document that strategy. If the strategy is not documented, we expose ourselves to being these people who talk about what we want to get done, but we don't ever get it done. We need a written game plan, something that we can hold ourselves accountable to, something that we can demonstrate we are authentic at this. And then we need tools, right? Our tactics require tools. We need to have some tools that can help us get to where we want to go, right? I showing you my tools, and these are strategies and tactics that I apply to everything. You know, you've got to first of all learn how to perhaps read before you can learn how to write. And then when you can write and read, you can start to compose. And after you can compose, you can think about how am I going to convey an idea? And then you can deliver that idea in many different ways, starting with a written format, then maybe the audio format, then maybe audio, video, and writing, right? So you need these tools to help you get to where you want to go. And then you need these accountability metrics that should clearly be measurable. I told you we're going to do this move forward in a 10-day execution cycle. But if you don't have all of these things together, maybe you've just got two. You've got strategy and you've got metrics. Then you've got this line that I'm showing you right here where you're kind of stuck because your strategy may say, well, I kind of know what I want to achieve, and I know that I've only got 10 days to do it. So there's an quasi-accountability tool, but I don't have any tactics. So I don't know what to do. So where does that leave me? That leaves me kind of, stuck where I'm getting, oh God, I don't know what to do. Or, oh, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. Or you become this king of excuses. It's not my fault, that kind of a person. And that's not a pathway to success, nor is it a pathway to authenticity, right? So the other concentric circles where they're connected could be you've got your strategy and you've got your tactics, but you don't have metrics. So where does that leave you? It leaves you kind of undisciplined, okay? I know what I want to achieve. I know that I have to write these things out, but I don't really have any metrics on when I'm supposed to get them done. So it leaves me somewhat undisciplined. And I become, again, this person that's always got something, getting in the way, stopping them. There's always some excuse. Oh, I'm working so hard, but I'm not getting anything done because their tactics have no accountability. And that's generally not a pathway to success. So if you want to have this pathway to success, you got to have all three. If you've got tactics and metrics, but no strategy, you may succeed once in a while on one thing, but it's not a repeatable process. It's not scientific. It is not disciplined. So I would not call that being authentic. I would equate that more with being lucky, right? I might achieve one thing, like I don't know what it could be, but because it doesn't really happen to me, right? I'm very disciplined and focused on trying to pursue things in a scientific manner. But if I just get lucky by, let's say, I buy a house and the real estate market goes up significantly and it really increases in value, well, I may have made a lot of money, but is it really repeatable? Is it something I can scale all the time? I don't know. Not if the market's changed. Not if we're in a pandemic where there's 30 million people unemployed. It's not a repeatable. A pathway to success, a pathway to authenticity requires us to pursue this metric that we can always shift. We can always apply these tools to whatever we are doing. We don't want to get stuck with no ideas. We don't want to be undisciplined, nor do we want to have programs that are non-repeatable. Instead, if we really want to succeed, we have got to create these strategies that are predictable, that I know if I repeat this in my fitness, in my marriage, in my career, in my finances, in anything that I define success with, it's going to be repeatable because I've got strategies to achieve them. I've got tactics that I am going to pursue, and I've got accountability metrics that I can use. That is the pathway to authenticity. So we want to make sure that we keep these things together, but then we want to have some tools that help us get there, right? We want to help these tools that keep us moving along in the right direction. And so, I've just drawn these tools out as some way to help me convey this message that I consider to be really important to the people that I am going to communicate with. First, I want them to define success. What is it they are trying to achieve? What part of their life are they trying to work towards making improvements? And if they do that, then they can kind of assess, okay, I know where I want to go. I got to kind of assess where I am right now. If I know where I want to be in 5 years, then I've got to assess, well, where am I today? And that helps me as I work towards coming up with ideas, right? Ideas is the next part of my big wheelhouse there. My ideas are saying, okay, what books can I read? What can I do to become better in this area? What resources can I tap for information? How can I leverage what I have today? And you think about these processes, and that's what helps us come up with a plan. And that plan is something that should be able to deliver us, right? If I go out my door right now, and I live in Laguna Niguel, California, and I want to get in the car and drive to Cincinnati, what's the first thing I'm going to need to do? I'm going to need to lay out a plan. I'm going to need a map. I have no idea where to go to get to Cincinnati. I've never been there in my life. But if I'm going to drive there, I've got to find the highways that connect and the best way to get there, which means I've got to be able to prioritize. I've got to put my priorities in order. I can't, if I'm living in Laguna Niguel, I can't make my first stop Denver, Colorado, if I'm going to Cincinnati. I don't know where my first stop is going to be, but I've got to be driving in that direction and always doing things in the right order. Priorities are extremely important because it's with that planning and that prioritizing that I can then advance to start executing on my model. And we always want to be executing on our model if we're authentic. We want to be able to defend the reasons for the decisions that we are making, showing that, hey, this is part of our strategy. We know what we are doing, and we're always measuring our progress. One step, then the next step, then the next step. And if we're doing that, then we can report on it. That is the pathway to authenticity. It's what's worked for me. It's what helped me get through 26 years in prison. It's what has helped me coach many people. In fact, this is the same model that anybody that works with me knows that I talk about. Visualize success, create a plan, put your priorities in place, and execute that plan. If you are doing that, that is the short path to being authentic. Now, at the beginning of this 10-day execution cycle, I expressed this is the hard work that I am going to do. This is the way that I am going to work towards building this pathway to building a successful, predictable business that I believe is going to be repeatable. And I think it's somewhat scientific, meaning if I do these things in order every day, I'm going to end up with something stronger, something more successful, something that's going to advance my prospects, and I can pour money into it. If I've figured it out, now I can start testing it with wide-scale mass marketing using Google, using Facebook, using YouTube, using perhaps LinkedIn. These are all strategies that I will pursue next week in the next 10-day execution cycle, but I couldn't have done it if I didn't do all of this work in the beginning. So, to rush through it one more time, to give you just let me see if I can get back to this slide here. I want to go back to slide number 1 and just show you all the different tools very quickly, right? To succeed, 17 slides of authenticity. First, you got to have a strategy. You got to have tactics. You got to have the metrics in place. You got to make sure that you've documented the efforts and all of your tools are in place and everything can be measurable. That way, I've always got something to do. I'm never stuck without ideas. I'm extremely disciplined. I know that if I repeat the process over and over again, I am going to hit my mark. I know that these strategies of having success, metrics, and tactics all lined up, it leads me to a pathway of frustration, undiscipline. It leads me to a pathway to failure. If I want to succeed, I got to be in the sweet spot, right where I told you. Right in the center of having strategy, tactics, metrics. It makes me predictable. It makes me repeatable. It makes it scientific. That's what makes me authentic. That's what will make you authentic. So define success. Assess where you are. Make sure that you've got good ideas. Test those ideas and identify a plan that will take you from where you are to where you want to go. Put your priorities in place. Make sure that you are executing every single day. Then make sure that you're measuring your progress. And when you do, report on it. You see me reporting on it every single day. That's why I'm creating these daily journals, is because I want to show you, hey, this is what I am doing. And you can test it. Look at my iTunes channel. See if I am publishing every day, because that's part of my strategy. Look at my YouTube channel. Am I publishing every day? You can determine I am assessing, I am measuring what is happening as a result of this progress, and I am continuously refining the process on the pathway to success. That's my path. I want to know what your path is, so just stick towards being resilient. Thank you.